Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Andrejczyk from DFnet, and I'm Zooming in from Seattle from my house and sharing this talk with Daryl. Daryl, you want to say a quick hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm coming in today from my hometown, Hamilton, Ontario.
And I was one of those who brushes teeth during Zoom meetings. And one time the camera wasn't really off. So just make sure you check that, check that camera button before you walk around the house. In the intro video from Laura, some of you saw this slide. So this was the last time that we all worked together. It was September 2019 in Annapolis, Maryland. That was the last in-person DFUG. It was a lovely location, really great talks. Enjoyed meeting with all of you, and we assume that we'd be seeing one another in person again soon. We had a fantastic evening sailing cruise in the bay, and it was just a gorgeous night. Lots of talking and sharing and sunsets, and it was lovely. Right, so off we all sailed into the sunset in September of 2019. So my slides today are talking a lot about the experience of DFnet, but I'm sure it's very similar to your organizations. So, back to work, back to the office, back to office work, back to office fun. In October, we had a Halloween party in Seattle, and there's Jared, dipping into, some homemade potluck, hands everywhere. It looks a little bit like social distancing at that party, but it really wasn't. It's just the picture. We didn't do apple bobbing. We didn't go to the extreme of that, but lots of close shoulders and laughing and homegrown food. Daryl and I got the opportunity to visit the Dundas office, and it was great to see the beautiful holiday tree, and they're standing by the welcome wall. So for any of you who've been able to go to the office, you recognize that wall. Your signature may be on it. Again, like shoulder to shoulder, touching, everybody's happy. And then 2020 came. I'm not going to dwell very long on this because it's the same experience we experienced the world over. I just hope that you and your family are okay, and your friends and work. This photo is from our office. Vilma, who's our HR and office manager, who's on the meeting today. She walks around our conference rooms, and each day writes a little message, writes what meeting's happening there. And on April 2nd, she wrote this message. She came into the office after the stop coming in, one person only. She came in, wrote this message, and it's still on the board. So every time I go into the office, I get a little pang, right? It's the world is very different. So the theme of DFUG is hybrid trials, decentralization, and DFnet has experienced some of that as well. In terms of hybrid work, we still have our office, and given whatever the state and national mandate is in terms of allowing people to go in, some people go into work every day. You saw Mark Wessel; he's in the office every day. Edith is in every day. Other people like to come in, once a week or once a month. I stop in probably once every 2 weeks. Kevin goes in once a week. Angela's in sometimes. And then there are those who haven't been back to the office since March of 2020. We just had a little our stand-up, and Lori, who's our resident, all things beautiful pens, and you walk into her office and it has this gorgeous display of pens, and so she's had to fill up her home office. But it's great. We've been able to make it work in the way that works best for that person. And then in Dundas, everyone was working from home, starting in March. And then in June, our office lease was up, and we took a poll of the Dundas crew, and everyone was very comfortable working from home. And so we gave up that space. So here's a picture that Eric took right at the end. And yeah, it's very sad to see these changes, but just like you, there have been some positives that have come out of it. So before it was Seattle, Dundas, right? And then one of our former employees, B, moved to Oregon. We thought, well, sure, why don't you call in from there? And then we started doing more of that. We had someone from New York. We had someone join from Ohio, Florida, another Ohio. So all of a sudden, DFnet was starting to spread out throughout the country. And it was really nice to have this opportunity to work with people who weren't, in the same 30-mile vicinity, or, in Dundas in the 30-kilometer vicinity. So then moving beyond that, we thought, okay, well, if this works, it already worked for Seattle, Dundas, it works to have people spread out in the US. So what does DFnet do? Where does our software have a lot of impact? And the answer is in Africa, and primarily South Africa. So DFnet has been doing work there since the 90s, and we've had many of you on the call today are in South Africa. So in 2020 we opened a new division called DFnet Research Mzansi, and it's wholly owned by DFnet. The director of DFnet Mzansi is Busi Mpila, and you'll hear from her in a few minutes. Based in Johannesburg, and we have 6 team members now that we've added, and we continue to grow. It's primarily for data management, data science, and then local training and support. So it's been wonderful to open up this new this office and virtual office and new opportunities. Yeah. This is our world. I'm sure this is your world. We have many meetings, 2 people meetings, 100 people meetings, 150 as today. We don't always have our cameras on because we're brushing our teeth, but that little bit of FaceTime is really important and really special. So our HR people, Laura B in Canada and Vilma in the US, thinking how can we stay connected in this new virtual world? So we started doing some regular things. We had Monday stand-ups. We used to walk into a room and stand up, and now it's a virtual stand-up. There's a Wednesday walk where a few people call in to each other at noon and walk around and just talk. There's Thursday chats. We spread it out because we're spread from Seattle all the way to South Africa. So we have an early morning chat with our coffee. Over there, Nadine is maybe not having a cocktail yet, but she's on the end of her day, but just getting to know other people. We had some Friday happy hours with quizzes. Our holiday parties have all been virtual, of course. And we had a virtual escape room in July, and that was super fun. We divided up into teams and did this great escape room with a big 80s theme. It was very fun. So when we can't see each other in person, when you finally can, it's wonderful. And I'm sure you've all experienced that with friends who you didn't get to see for a year, or your family or your coworkers. And it's really nice to finally see one another in person. This was just last Thursday. Daryl and I went to Hotel Bosch and were able to meet with the team. They have a virtual meeting, a developers meeting every week. And then once a month, they started meeting at Eric's. And, it's masks on and laptops there. And it's for the team, it's been really nice to have that human connection once a month. And I hope in Seattle, we hope that we can do that a little bit more with meetings that we're having. And I'm sure it's the same situation for you. So DFUG, it was 2 years ago. So I hope that some of you have communicated on your own. We've tried to stay connected with some webinars, and I've listed them over here. We started with batch edit checks, and then in 2020, things took on more of a remote, decentralized, hybrid with remote monitoring and ePro and eConsent. We've had 2 new releases since DFUG 2019, and we have webinars back in June of 2020 and then June of 2021. And if you if you weren't able to attend these, they're all on our website. So you can go there and download either the PDF or the recording. Since 2019, we've continued to expand our software, and in terms of EDC and eSource, DF Collect and DF Web, and then a new tool, Sources, have taken on additional meaning, and you'll be hearing about those in the next 2 days, as well as pushing into more patient-centric tools. Now it's not just the site that's connecting in, but now it's directly the participant and how that changes things. And directly after this, there's a talk about these tools. And I am going to pass it to you, Daryl. And in terms of time, we are fine. So take it away.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. I'm Daryl Paul. I'm the co-owner and co-founder of DFnet with Lisa. And we're really excited to partner with ClinConsent. So even prior to COVID, we met with ClinConsent at a Society for Clinical Data Management meeting. We got to know them a bit. They came to our booth. We went to their booth, and we thought there'd really be a good synergy here. We really believe that moving kind of data collection, kind of more patient-centric things out of the clinic and into people's hands is really quite important. So over a couple of years, we worked with them on different projects, and in January of 2021, we took an equity stake in ClinConsent. So what does that mean? It's really just skin in the game. It's really a formalized approach to mutually develop an informed consent process. So it's not just kind of a partnership or you're our friends or we're going to work together, but it's a mutual decision to actually work together through a new company called ClinConsent LLC, formed in the US. We thought it was important to form a new company in the US, primarily because there are many of our clients like the NIH and VA that might be more comfortable working with DFnet or a US company. There's different regulations around that are out of our control, but just kind of add some familiarity to continue to work with DFnet. So ClinConsent LLC was formed in January, and we transferred the IP to this new US-based company. So ClinConsent is its own company, but DFnet's the official supplier and supporter of ClinConsent. So if you have a ClinConsent issue, you have your familiar people to deal with, and we can triage that to our friends and colleagues in India. And we're going to market it under the DFConsent brand if bundled with our software. But I think it's really important to realize that ClinConsent can be completely standalone as well. You'll probably learn more about it during this meeting, but it's a web-based app that can be coupled or decoupled from DF Discover. And I think that there are trials out there that could use electronic informed consent that maybe is layered on top of their own system, whether it be REDCap or RAVE or something else. Many of these systems have their own platform, but we think ClinConsent is also a winning strategy. So over the next period of time, we're going to integrate DF consent as part of the DF Discover suite using our API, so that when you enter things like date of birth or age in CLIN consent, you may have date of birth in CLIN consent, that would be translated into a data field in your normal DF Discover database, so that it's kind of a more seamless transition. You don't need to enter things twice. You can enter them once. So that's kind of an ongoing integration, and we really welcome feedback on how to do that. So CLIN consent and DFnet joined forces, and we're very excited about that. Thanks, Lisa.
Can you see the next screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone gets a little goofy with Teams, and we got tired of the Hollywood Square. So one day we thought, well, what else is out there? Oh, look, we can have stadium seats. And yeah, things got a little goofy, but that's great, right? Because we have there's less fun in the world and in work, and so whatever you can do to get a laugh and feel closer to your colleagues is wonderful. For us, the plus of the downside is, yes, I really miss seeing my colleagues. I really miss seeing all of you at DFUG, but with Zooms and Teams now, David in Dundas can talk to Nadine in South Africa, and not just about work, but as this becomes more normal, just start to talk about your world. And so it's not in person, but it's the best that we all can do right now. And I hope that you've had similar experiences in the last 2 years, and I hope that you all are doing well in your lives and your organizations.
Thanks, Lisa, and thank you, Daryl.